If you've been holding XRP for months or even years, there's a good chance you've asked yourself one question recently. Is XRP still worth holding? It's a fair question. Every day, investors watch other cryptocurrencies make headlines, while XRP seems to test the patience of its community. Some holders remain confident that Ripple's long-term vision will eventually be reflected in the price. Others are beginning to wonder if they're waiting for something that may take much longer than expected. So who's right? Before we dive in, let me make one thing clear. This isn't a video telling you to hold XRP forever, and it's definitely not telling you to sell. No one can responsibly make that decision for you. Instead, we're going to look at the current market, Ripple's latest direction, and the facts available today to answer one important question. Based on what we know today, is XRP still worth holding? One of the biggest challenges in investing is separating price from value. Many investors assume that if the price isn't moving, then nothing important is happening. But history has shown that's not always true. Markets often spend long periods building momentum before a major trend becomes visible. During those quiet periods, patience becomes much harder than buying or selling. That's exactly where many XRP holders find themselves today. The crypto market is constantly changing. Investor sentiment shifts, regulations evolve, and new technologies continue entering the industry. At the same time, Ripple has continued focusing on blockchain-based payment solutions, enterprise adoption, and the growth of the XRP ledger ecosystem. Those developments don't guarantee higher prices, but they do show that progress isn't measured only by the daily chart. In my opinion, that's where many people become frustrated. They expect every positive development to immediately push the price higher, but financial markets rarely reward investors on a schedule. Sometimes they move quickly, sometimes they move much later than anyone expects, and sometimes the biggest challenge isn't choosing the right investment. It's having the patience to stick with a well-researched decision. So perhaps the better question isn't simply, is XRP still worth holding? Maybe it's, have the reasons for holding XRP actually changed? Because if the answer to that question is different from what you expected, it could completely change the way you think about your investment. So is XRP still worth holding? The honest answer is that it depends on why you bought it in the first place. If you invested only because you expected a quick price increase, then the past months have probably been frustrating. But if your decision was based on the long-term potential of Ripple's technology and the broader adoption of blockchain in finance, then it's worth asking whether those reasons have actually changed. In my opinion, that's the question every investor should be focusing on. Right now, Ripple continues working on expanding blockchain-based payment solutions while the XRP ledger ecosystem continues to evolve. Across the financial industry, conversations around tokenization, stablecoins, and digital asset infrastructure are becoming more common. Large financial institutions are showing increasing interest in blockchain technology, even though adoption is still developing. Does that guarantee XRP will benefit the most? No. And it's important to be honest about that. No cryptocurrency comes with guarantees, and XRP is no exception. Markets can remain unpredictable for much longer than investors expect. That's why making decisions based purely on hope or fear can often lead to disappointment. Another factor worth considering is the overall crypto market. XRP doesn't trade in isolation. Broader market sentiment, Bitcoin's performance, global economic conditions, and investor confidence all influence how capital flows into digital assets. Even if Ripple continues making progress, those external factors can delay how quickly the market responds. That's why price alone doesn't always tell the full story. One of the biggest challenges for long-term investors is staying objective. When prices remain flat, it's easy to believe nothing is happening, but markets often go through long periods of accumulation, uncertainty, and low excitement before sentiment begins to shift. Whether XRP is currently in that type of phase is something only time will reveal. For me, the key isn't trying to predict the exact day XRP will move. The key is asking whether the long-term thesis still makes sense based on today's facts, not yesterday's emotions. If your original reasons for holding XRP remain intact, then temporary price frustration may not be enough to justify a major decision. On the other hand, if your investment goals have changed, reviewing your strategy is perfectly reasonable. The important thing is making that decision based on research rather than emotion. So, is XRP still worth holding? The truth is, no one can answer that question with complete certainty. But before making any decision, ask yourself this: has the reason you invested in XRP actually changed, or has only your patience been tested? Those are two very different things. In my opinion, the smartest investors don't make decisions based on one slow month or one exciting headline. They stay informed, follow the facts, and regularly review whether their original investment thesis still makes sense. Whether you decide to continue holding, add to your position, or move on, make sure it's your decision, not one driven by fear, hype, or social media opinions. Because in the end, successful investing isn't about predicting every market move. It's about making disciplined decisions that align with your own goals and risk tolerance. Now I'd like to hear from you. Is XRP still worth holding in your opinion, or has your outlook changed? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to OG XRP Insights, and turn on notifications for more fact-based XRP updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.